Okay? Thanks, kids. So, the first site that you'd like to go to, maybe pinterest.com, www.pinterest.com. And like I said, when you get into that site, you're placing the homepage, and in that homepage, you will already have the links and images to default sites based on your interest. Like I said, my interest is educational technology, men's style, books, and then organizing the house. Dahil makalat ako, so I need organizing tips and tricks. Okay? So here, all you have to do is, if you want to talk about educational technology, do the search, just type educational technology. And voila, what will happen is it will show you a list of all of the tools that you can technically use. Tech tips, university apps for university students, for kids if you have special ed teacher, special ed, what do you call this? Technology apps, ed, I think. Okay, so for kids, ayan, you have 10 apps to use in a SPED classroom, you have Kindle apps there, you have a concept called digital speech therapy, you have timers, you have voice-to-text speech. So with Pinterest, you can technically already start searching and you will be overwhelmed. Ang tawag ko dito, rabbit hole, na magsimula ka lang sa isa, dire-diretso ka na. Yung parang, ay, ang ganda nito. Uy, ang ganda nito. Ay, ang ganda nito. So it's a rabbit hole for me. And let's take one. If our exercise last time is mythology. So technology app, mythology. Okay. If I'm interested, uy, I have a body digital project for digital gods. Di ba last week may isang group na nagsabi, create an avatar. Eh hindi totoo yung parang pilit yung tool. Here's an actual digital, maybe digital Greek god mythology. So yan. And if you click on it, this one, it will bring you to the site for the digital, maybe the digital tool about this one. So, yun. So, dire-diretso yan. Okay? Tapos sabihin mo, ay may bayad, back. May bayad kasi 799 eh. Okay? So, kung ayaw ninyo, okay, balik. And what you can do is once you click on this one, if you scroll down, there is more like this. Pababa pa. Kaya sinabi ko rabbit hole dahil pag nagsimula ka sa isa, dire-diretso ka na. Mapansin mo, yung alas 8 ng umaga mo, alas 5 na ng hapon. Kasi hindi dire-diretso ka lang dyan. Hahanap-hanap ka lang dyan. Okay? So, Pinterest for me really is number one. And that's where I usually start off. Now, if you want a starting point at mukhang for some of you, baka mahilo kayo dito, you can search me para may followers ako. Ganun eh. Okay? If you search me, okay, in that one, you need not only search for an item, you can also search for people. You can search me, instead of saying all pins, say people, choose people, and there's me. Okay? Now, if you go to my site, ang i-follow lang ninyo yung well, as a teacher. Kasi in my as a teacher, I already have around, I think this is 1,000 already na curate ko na. So like this one, I have 12 excellent chemistry apps for high school students. I have digital graphic organizers. I have 12 great drawing or sketching apps. Learning apps for your kids. So you can start off from here na curate ko na ito, and this already has a lot of tools that you can work with. Okay? So that's the simplest one. You start off with what do you call this? We start off with Pinterest. Ang pagkaalala ko kasi noon nung tinanong ko yung mga teachers, saan yung ginagamit ang Pinterest? Sir, recipes. Yun lang ang ginagawa nila. Ayan, recipe. Isang katutak rin yan ng recipes. Sir, ginagamit ko rin dahil nag-remodel ako ng bahay. Remodel house. Oh, yan. So, nagre-remodeling ka rin. But when I asked them, have you even thought of searching for tech apps there? Yung iba, hindi. Yung iba, oo. But another one, you don't, this is not, you can even, kung nauubusan ka ng motivation na hindi tech-inspired, let's say music for grade 3, marami rin mga, mga links to already existing items and lessons already here. So like I said, this is a rabbit hole. Kung teacher ka and you have all of these lessons planned and everything, this essentially is a very deep, deep, deep rabbit hole. Okay? So that's the first one. Okay? And the reason why I spent a lot of time here is that it's one of my favorite, and like I said, ang dami mo magagawa dito. Okay? Now, the other two that I showed you is UEN. Okay? And UEN is the Utah Educational Network. Uh, Unlike Pinterest, where it's really a mishmash of a lot of apps, UEN, the Utah Education Network, already has a lot of these apps. Para sa Play Store ang dating. Pero unlike Play Store na all of the apps, in this one, it's all apps specific to education. So you can just go to the site, and that site is this one. I will put it in the chat box if you want to link it. Okay, so you can click on that one so that you can try it out. And all you have to do is just do a keyword search or find what type of characteristics you want the app to have. So you want it to be just on an Android phone. So click on that one. What's the cost? Siyempre, free tayo. Anong category? Maybe creativity or productivity. Anong grade level? Maybe grade 2, grade 3. And then let's just go search. Okay? And then, yan na lahat yun. Well, konti lang. So it might not give you a lot of the tools, but this is specific to education. What will yield you more is if you have a keyword search like science, a very general one, and you say a certain grade level, maybe 2 or 3, maybe grade 12 or 11 or 10. And then that may be a much more, wala. So technically, wala rin. So compared to that of Pinterest, although this is structured, it might not give you a result every time. Okay, so that's one of them, UEN. Okay, same as UEN is common sense education. Okay, so in common sense education, again, I'll give you the link in the chat box. Okay, yeah. Thanks. I'll share that one. Okay. So with commonsense.org education, okay, it's the same level as that of UEN. Okay, so again, you get a keyword search and then choose the grade and subject and then the price there. Okay, so that's another way to search through it. This one is again curated. It just shows the ones that are still active. Oh, by the way, if you use Pinterest, there might be a probability or a possibility that that app no longer exists. Or if it exists, it will be used for the old version of, let's say, an iPad or an Android. So you really have to end up testing it at the end of the day. Okay, Paula just chatted me and she shared with me another site. Maybe you can also look it up. Okay, she looks at it in Chromebook apps pub. So let's look at that one. Okay. So there, again, this is specific to Chrome. I think Paula, right? Paula? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if most of your students use Chrome or at least the Chrome website, this is another set of apps that you can go through. So you have apps for every subject and grade. You have the book creator, and then apps that educators love. So there's a lot of all of this already there. Okay. Thanks, Paula, for that one. Okay. Okay. So there, that's essentially the first step, really searching through things. Okay. The problem there is you're going to start having a rabbit hole. My instruction is for the next step. So it's Pinterest, UEN, and Common Sense. My recommendation is choose one that interests you. Choose one that catches your attention. It might be the most popular, it might be the most promoted, it's the one that's highly recommended. Just choose one, okay? And the only reason why I ask you to choose one is that so that you don't end up going through that rabbit hole. Okay? Kasi pag, uy, ang ganda nito, hindi ka matatapos. So at least find a way or at least zero in on one and then choose it. Okay? So that's the next step. Just start to choose one. And then once you've chosen one, in this case, let's say you're looking for some interactive tool online, then let's say for quizzes, then you have Kahoot. The next step really is to try it out. Okay, so ang gagawin nyo, you either download the app or you go to the website, create an account, which is normal here, and then try it out. Okay, my word of advice here when you're trying things out, because you're logging into websites, they will sometimes spam you. Okay? So, ang mangyayari dyan, my advice is create a separate Gmail account at doon ninyo i-direct yung spam. Okay? Kasi or another way is at least in Gmail, you can isolate which are the promotions, which are the updates, and so on and so forth. If you can do that, then fine. But for me, because, well, it's more a personal thing, because I've tried a lot of apps already, even that promotion thing takes a lot of time for me to filter and go through and whatever. So what I just simply do is what I simply did was created another Gmail account, and when I now try out an app and ask for an email, I use that. Kaya lang minsan catch 22. Okay? There are some sites that says if you want a free account, you need to put your .edu email. So sometimes that's the catch 22. So ako, ang ginagawa ko na lang muna, maski na gusto ko free, I try out first the generic or the basic. Okay? And then if I like it, then that's the only time I register again with the .edu. So I do it twice. Okay? So during this trial, really it will take a lot of your time in terms of going through each and every app, downloading it, trying out what works, and so on. Now, it works in the face-to-face scenario. All I had to do was just use my laptop and I know what it works, how it works, and so on and so forth. But with this environment, it's starting to get difficult because as we saw in the quizzes and the code situation, though you think that it should work the way it does on a face-to-face with a lab, in this situation, it's not always the case. So we know that Kahoot is dependent, the score is dependent on speed and bandwidth. But if you have students with different bandwidth, ang mangyayari dyan, palagi silang nasa baba. Okay? So what you need to do right now is try to run the app, especially it involves some sort of games. Try to ask other people to help you out because you play as a teacher, they play as students. I think this is wrong. They play as a student, not play as a teacher. Okay, so let me just change this one. Oops, undo. They play as a student. Play as a student, you try it out as a teacher. So usually two other co-teachers of yours in the same grade or maybe another one, just ask them, can you try it out and let's play it out. Or kung sa bahay kayo, marami kayong laptops or cell phones, ask your husband, your kids to try it out. And if you have kids, mas maganda reaction, makukuha mo dyan. Okay? The second best practice is always take note of the limitations of your students. Okay? A lot of you already pointed that out last time. It is a best practice. Ask if all of them are working with a desktop, all of them. or it's a combination of cellphone, tablet, desktop. And in that case, iba-iba yung magiging scenario niyan. Hindi rin nyo alam kung ano-ano yung OS. And even if you say you use Chrome, Safari, or whatever, baka hindi rin pare-pareho yung version ng mga Chrome and Safari at kulang maybe yung plugins. So you might have a situation where one student sees it and another student doesn't. Okay? It might be because low version ng browser nila or hindi updated or kulang ang tinatawag nating plugin which is needed for the app or the website to use. Okay? One of the most common plugins before is Flash. And in some cases, there are apps that require a Flash app or a Flash download. So, kailangan i-download yun sa desktop or sa browser ng student at the end of the day. Okay? And lastly, the third best practice for me is go through all cases and situations. Okay? Ano ang mangyayari? Makakat ka, yung estudyante ay, kung nakat ang estudyante, can you reset it if it's an activity or a game? Or does the student need to be constantly online to access the web app? Can the student do it offline, then upload it? Okay, so things like that are situations that you also need to consider. A lot of the apps that I'm showing you will require students to be constantly logged in. Okay? And kung yung mga teachers or yung mga students already have limited budget and the families have limited budget for internet connection, if you're asking them to do the app or to do the activity using an app and they constantly need to be online, then please also take that into account. Okay? So that's another situation that you're also going to consider. Maybe maybe yung connection for, let's say, yung creating the museum, if I'm not mistaken, yung Minecraft type of museum, might be good for students in Ateneo, but for a public school, baka hindi pwede yun because it might take a lot more bandwidth or data download. So yung mga ganun naman ang iisipin. Okay. Now, let's assume that you got one, you tried it out, at ayaw ninyo. Okay? So, I already showed you how to search, and that one is to use a tool called Alternative 2. So, alternative2.com is a site which allows you to search for other tools. So, I don't think I have other. I have Alternative 2. Okay, so it's alternative2.com, .net, sorry, my mistake. Okay, I'll put that in the chat session. Okay, so alternative2.net. Okay, and if you go to alternative2.net, this is the first page that you'll go to. If, for example, you already you saw Kahoot, but you show the limitations to Kahoot, just type in Kahoot. Click on Find, and it will give you all possible alternatives to Kahoot. So, nandun sa baba yan, AHA slides, class time, quizzes, WooClap, Mentimeter, Quiz Show, IO, Socrative, Bcast. And again, this is a rabbit hole. If you try going to one, let's say, Socrative, if you click on Socrative, may ibibigay rin siya. Although you'll see similarities across, in some cases, it might be another rabbit hole for you. Okay? So, alternative2.net allows you to search for other potential alternatives that might take you a longer time to find if you're using simply Pinterest. Okay? It might be in Pinterest, but it might be buried somewhere there because it's not as popular as the ones already on Pinterest. Pinterest, sasabihin niya, may Kahoot dyan, may quizzes. Those are the most common ones. But I'm not sure if Pinterest will recommend to you, let's say, AHA slides, for example. Where's that? Ayun, may AHA slides. Okay? Maybe that's the only one that you need, or WooClap. Or baka hindi naman siya aligned doon. Okay? So that's the only purpose of using alternative 2. Okay? So like I said, If you go through Pinterest, you may get this, which is the popular one, Quizzes, Triventi, Quizalize. But these are other alternatives that alternative to .NET comes up with. Okay, Sketch Party TV, Formative, and Quizlet Live. Okay, so this is another so this allows you to just get more, and it just narrows down your search a little bit more. Okay, now at the end of the day, how do we know if the app is good? Um, for a lot of us, we already have base criteria. One of them is dapat libre. That's number one. Okay. Pangalawa, it should be simple. Okay. That's another base criteria. And third, when I say simple, it's simple to use. It's easy to understand. It's simple to use. And then the third one is that it should be flexible enough that it can be used in any platform, whether iOS or Android or Windows. Okay. For the techies here, wala naman talagang Linux na mag-i-install yung mga si Paula lang at saka si Michelle. Baka yung mga nakasmile dyan, alam niyo kung ano yung Linux. Pero wala naman mga estudyante magli-Linux ngayon. So it's either one of those three lang talagang gagamit noon. Okay? So those are base criteria, but I will go back to research. There is an evaluation rubric. Although it's for iPod, it will apply to any app. And I tried it out. And this is a potential evaluation rubric for your apps. I just remove the concept of iPod. And there, according to Walker from Johns Hopkins University, there are 6 domains that you are going to look at. It's either the connection to the curriculum, or it's the connection to the curriculum, okay? And how is it connected to the skills and motivation and objectives that you are actually you intend to achieve. The second one is it authentic? Meaning the skills are practiced really in, are the skills practiced in a rote or isolated fashion, or you have certain targeted skills which are really practiced. So parang sa KSA natin yan. So kung talagang authentic yung skills learning nila, then that's better. It goes to the 4-1. Does it immediately give feedback? Or parang pag nagkamali ka, bahala ka. Ikaw mag-figure out kung paano mo sosolusyonan yan. Okay? So the more feedback it has, the better. The fourth one is, can it differentiate student situations? Is the app just simply a one skill, one track type of flexibility na ito lang ang pwede mong gawin, or does it allow also for creativity na pag magaling na magaling ka, you can use other features. Pag hindi ka magaling, hanggang dito ka lang. Okay? Or ito lang pwede mong gamitin. A good example of an app na parang low ang differentiation is make-believes comics. Kasi doon sa make-believes comics, kung ano lang ang nandun, yun lang ang pwede mong gamitin. But I think the good ones, and I think some of you asked, pwede bang mag-upload ng sariling picture? And I said no. Okay? But if you have a comic strip app that allows you to use both built-in characters and allow students to upload it, then it's higher in terms of the evaluation rubric. So that's what you mean by differentiation. Okay? So it allows for students of varying skills to actually use it. Okay? And reinforce skills and gain more knowledge to it. Okay. The fifth one is user friendliness. So how easy is it to use? That's pretty straightforward. And the last one is student motivation. Meaning, ang highly motivated ngayon sa atin ay Kahoot. Sabihin mo lang Kahoot, mag-i-enjoy na lahat ng mga estudyante. So that's where the student motivation aspect also starts from. Okay. So that's the last one. Oh, sorry. The last step is preparation. Okay. And in preparation, I just have 2 comments. One is that the moment you already have chosen the app, do what I do. First, please introduce the app to the students, either through YouTube or through giving them, what do you call this, a step-by-step procedure. Because what I would hate as a parent of a kid, na sinasabi, gamitin niyo ito, kung lower grade yan, kailangan pa rin ng tulong ng parent. Pero pag higher grades, o sige, they can work out, but they might also start asking help from us. They will try figuring out, but if it takes them 1 hour out of a 3-hour deadline to figure out the tool, then it's not going to help them out. Okay, so what you do need is just point them, here's a good YouTube channel for you to start off. And, or you can read this tutorial, okay? And keep the tutorial and the YouTube 5 minutes short, the tutorial, the handout, mga 2 or 3 pages long. In the same way, I did that for you when you were using WiseMap, Make Believes Comics, and so on and so forth, okay? So that's, I think, the last word for me in terms of the steps, okay? Any questions? Or any insights or any sharing? I'm open to sharing there. By the way, what I will do is, please, I will share with you another, well, this is my Google Classroom site. Okay. And this is the class code. I'm putting it in the chat box. Okay. And in this one, just for everyone, this is usually the, how do I call it? Parang default, parang simple toolbox. So this is normally the lecture that I give or workshop I give to all the other schools. So I start off with what is happening right now, how do we respond, the summer framework, and then I give them, kasi awareness is one thing, I give them all the apps. So here's the apps for online quiz tools. So my Kahoot, my Quizzes, my Triventi, my Quizalize, and then the YouTube tutorial. I have a link to music and arts. I have a link to Filipino. I have a link about images and video content if you need to get for images and content. Mabaga lang, but it's there. If you want to learn a foreign language, if you want mind mapping and visual organizers, if you want to do infographics, GeoGebra is the most popular math, algebra, and trigonometry graphing calculator. I have apps for digital storytelling, and then apps for digital video interaction. So you can, this is like a website wherein kung malulula kayo sa, anong tawag mo dito? Sa Pinterest at wala kayong makita sa starting point sa UAN and so, or whatever. Here's one way. So it's like the Chromecast book of, Chromecast link of Paula that was there. Okay? So this is how I, so at least itong mga ito na try out na. Okay? Okay. Any questions? Anything you'd like to share about this discussion? Something that you found based from your own experience? Like to share? Hola. I think you'd like to, I'm not sure if you were going to try to raise your hand or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Hola.
Actually, I really appreciated the fact that there's a kind of a rubric. Kasi sir, yan din yung difficulty ko when I teach teachers technology, or at least when I ask them to try out technology, or when they search for one, and then ang laging nangyayari po, bumabalik sila sa akin. Ako yung magte-test. Given that I'm the edtech of the school, so kailangan ako yung mag-test. So it's kind of helpful for me in terms of, at least now I can also let them try it out without, having the feeling na iniwan ko sila sa ere.
Oo, totoo yan. To be honest po, ganyan din ang initial ko. Kasi ako yung maraming alam na apps. Sabi ko may 100 akong apps. O sir, paano ito? Hindi, ito na lang, mag-search na lang tayo. Ganun na lang
Opo.
yun. Totoo yun. Totoo yan.
So, for me, I think I see the value of that kasi matagal na rin po ako naghahanap ng criteria. It's just that totoo yun, there's no criteria. It really takes imagination and how much you want to take your students to that level of tech integration.
yeah.
So, I think I can try that out with some of the teachers who are not actually scared of jumping into tech.
Yeah.
But yeah, and sir, super helpful din sa akin yung yung isa palang problem na gusto ko pong i-mention din is that um a lot of teachers po kasi would often have this burden na once that they learn new technology and once that they use it in the class, kailangan it's a wow. Kailangan parang so pero to be honest, the first thing na nahihirapan sila is to get the students jump in the technology because bago sa kanila, bago dun sa teacher, at the same time bago din dun sa student. So sir, yung with regards to the to um running through the apps with the students, parang um, how do we manage it? Kasi lalo na ngayon that we are we're all forced to go online. Mahirap magturo, naka-compress lahat ng gusto naming ituro. At the same time, we have to teach the apps
Yeah.
we want to use in class, especially if it goes beyond Google Docs or Microsoft Word. So how do we deal with that? Especially if there wouldn't be any tutorials online.
Here's the thing. My guiding principle lang there, it's a personal guiding principle. It is based on some research that I've seen from EdTech people, is that one, you only use the base requirements first. When you're trying to when you found an app and you found, kasi we're looking at it from a teacher perspective and the potential. We have to also look at it from the potential of a student lang. So I know the teachers want to go, yoo! Pero you're right, the student can only handle so much. So what you just simply do is in your tutorial, is you just cover the base. And one example that highlights one of my examples is Canva. Yung pinakita ko sa Canva, ang gusto lang namin pagawa sa inyo ay infographic. So ang hinanap kong YouTube is how to create an infographic using Canva. Tapos pag nagustuhan na siya, uy, ang ganda nito. O sige, paano ganito? Then they will be that's where their interest now start. Not everyone will try every other option. Pero kung may vlogger ka dyan, uy, gawa siya ng kung ano-ano dyan. Kung meron kang Facebook person, di gagawa-gawa ka siya ng Facebook banner and Facebook ads and so on. So my rule always there, and it's backed up by research, start off with the basic. And that's the only thing I need you to do. And once you have that, that limits the time of learning, that limits the time of connection, and that focuses them. And once it's done, there are other ways to motivate the student and say, oh, if you add this one, you can get plus X points. And it might be an add-on or whatever. Okay? So that's my guide. And it works for a lot of my students. Basta ang gusto lang ng bata, base muna. Pag interesado sila, and the reason why it's based, if I only need it to submit something, then sige, tapos na. Pero if I need it, if I found it interesting enough for me to learn it more, then that's where their own learning will start coming. Okay, so that hopefully that helps.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? You're welcome, Paula. Any other question or thing that you'd like to ask, especially right now? Okay, sige. So can I just have around 15 more minutes? Because what I would like to do is show you one powerful tool that I believe you can use in class. One of the things that we do for higher grades is sometimes we ask them to read something from the internet. Like there's an article that we want them to read. And sometimes it's so interesting that we use that as a jumping point for discussion. And this is true mainly for high school to college. One example is you're teaching economics in senior high or junior high. Okay? You can stick with the book, or baka meron ka nakitang news article na pwedeng jumping point for a discussion. One tool that I found wherein as the student reads, they can already integrate and you can already capture their knowledge is a Chrome extension called Insert Learning. Okay, so the Chrome extension is called Insert Learning, and let me put that here. Insert Learning. Sorry. Learning, and I'll let you work on that one later on. But what will happen is, let's say I have a news article, and let me go through a news article. News. Okay. So I'll go through a news article. Maganda-ganda naman. Puro negative itong mga ito eh. Sige na nga, maging ano lang tayo. Itong kay Miss Universe, Miss Bulgaria. Okay? So I'll go here, and let's say you're talking about pop culture. Miss Universe. Okay? And you'd like to use this as a discussion point. So normally, you will tell the students, read this, and then you go to class and discuss. But with Insert Learning, what you can do is install it as a plugin. And in this case, I have already installed it as a plugin, which is IL. Okay. And what happens here is that, and let me just remove this Alveo thing. Okay. Okay. What will happen is once you click on the anong tawag dito, plugin, what will happen is on this side, you will see some icons. These icons allow you to put some questions, some quizzes on the website itself. Of course, it's not going to be on the website of what do you call this, of, in this case, I Philstar, but Insert Learning will get a copy and store it in their own web servers. So, for example, this one is all about throwback to Miss Universe, about, in a sense, a little bit of bullying, because she said in a interview online that she didn't see Pia Wurtzbach as a competition. She was a ghost dahil tahimik lang siya. So in a sense, she was asking, bakit siya nanalo? Hindi naman siya ganun ka-visible. So what I can do is, I can, let's say, highlight the text. And what will happen is on the website itself, or the copy of the site, it's already highlighted. And if you want, you can ask a question. Okay, so let's say I want to ask a question somewhere here. Okay, and I can just use this icon and say insert question. Okay, I will insert the question after there, and then I will type the question. What do you know about Miss Pia Wurtzbach? Okay. So right now, there's already a question in between that set of articles. And that's a question. And the student can just type in here and this is a question, this is a multiple choice pala ito. If you want a discussion, so you can also put a question. If you want a discussion, this is pala the discussion, and I'll put it here. What do you know about words create? And then I can show it to a certain class, but I'll just type in here verse Okay, so it knows that I was the one who posted this one. Now, if I want you to join in, okay, I will assign this to students, okay, and those students are you, okay. But for now, okay, that's essentially what will happen in this case, okay. So more options there. Once I'm done, let's say with all of this, how will a student see this? Okay, this is already the way the student will see it. Okay, and then I can go back in the teacher view and start editing. I can also put a comment here and say, if you want to see Miss Universe, you can go to this link and you can go to YouTube, youtube.com. I'll just get any YouTube. I just want to show the possibility of what you can do there.
In this video, I'm going to take whatever is in this Tokyo Treat box and try to turn it into a dish.
And if you notice, what happened is that in that comment, nandun na rin yung YouTube. Pwede na lang panoorin while he or she is just looking at the site. So he or she, your student, will no longer go outside of the article to gain more information about this particular article. Okay? So yeah, you can sprinkle everything and anything there. And this will test and check if the students actually read the article because there's some interaction that is needed in this particular insert learning site. Okay? So in this case, okay, I'm done with this one. I will go to my dashboard. If I click on my dashboard, and I now have here my lesson. I can assign this, and it can, if you're using Google Classroom, then that's good. If you're using Microsoft Teams, that's good. If you're not in any of this, I can, well, I'll assign it to Ed para my students dyan. Okay, I will give the link. So I would like everyone to try it out. I will give you the link, and the link is there. If it will ask for what do you call this? Okay, so there. Okay. There. So can you try it out? In this case, it's just adding more info and everything else. So please click on that link and you should see the student view. Where's that student view? View a student. So you should see something like this. And try posting on the comment what do you know about Miss Universe so that you'll see that there's actually something that comes out of it. Okay. I might just need to refresh the screen for me to see more info there. And I go to this one.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, phone po kasi yung
Okay.
gamit ko. Trinay ko po siya dun sa, dito sa phone. Cannot, view. I cannot, kailangan computer po ang...
Yeah, in this case, hindi. Kailangan mo kong i-access through the web. So, kailangan gamitin mo yung Chrome sa inyong phone. So, if you're using the Chrome, it needs the phone. Okay. Wait. I think I forgot to give you the class code. So if you're using your laptop or your desktop, it will ask you to install Insert Learning as a plugin. I think that's something that I forgot to mention. Just ask it, and then it will say na you will have to access it through Insert Learning, and it will ask for a class code. Now, where is my Insert Learning tab? Go to dashboard. Sa dami na ng aking let me just stop share muna. So, para lang maano yung ko. Okay. Okay, there. Sorry, I will share again. Share screen, my screen, share. Okay. The chat session. Okay, this is the class code. Okay. And the class code can be seen under the category classes or under the tab classes because you're under Ed 251. Okay, so I assigned it to Ed 251. The class code is in the chat box. So hopefully now that we have everything there and you put in your comments, we will see the comments. Okay. Okay. Mga naglo-load pa ito. So it's because it's not in the Philstar server, it's going to the Insert Learning server. Okay? So may mga kailangan pang daanan lang ito. Okay, anyway. Okay. Who was the one who commented kanina na kailangan ng class? Are you in already and you already posted? I hope. Okay, so it's loading. Okay, in this case kasi we're doing it live. So kaya siguro But if you're doing this separately, no, this is my daughter's. Ayan, so I have Paula. Emil is already there. Okay, so yung comment ni Paula, comment ni Emil is already there. Okay, so that's one. And in this instance, we already saw some problems. Okay, one of them is pag phone. Okay, it will not work. But if you use the solution would be use the actual web browser, Chrome browser, because it is going to be installed on the Chrome browser. Okay. Paula, this is the only thing I think I need your help. Can you install plugins on the Chrome browser in an Android phone? How does it work?
So usually if it's a Chrome extension, just like this one, it's limited to the web browser.
Okay.
Wala po talaga siyang para dun sa Chrome app sa phone.
Okay. So in that case, if you're using a phone, this will not work. If most of your students are working on a phone, this will not work.
The mindset, sir, that I shared to the teachers that I taught last summer is that if you want your students to use an extension, make sure that they all have laptops because extensions would usually require web browser sa desktop or sa
Okay.
laptop.
Or sa laptop. Unless that extension has a separate app.
Yes, sir. Yes. Like for example, Bitmoji. Bitmoji has an app in the
Yes.
phone and at the same time it has a Chrome extension.
Yeah. Okay. Sige. Thanks, Paula, for that one. Okay,
Sir,
so
Miss Paula or Sir, will this work in an Android tablet po? As
Android
long as they
tablet.
have the Chrome po, no?
If sir, if I'm actually this is the first time that I encountered insert learning. Pero if ever po that there's actually an app for insert learning that can be installed in an Android from Google Play Store, then you
I
will
will
be able
search
to
now.
use it in an Android tablet.
I will search now.
Oo. Kasi depende po eh. May iba kasing apps. There are different apps na meron po talagang kumbaga katambal na
Yeah, app.
na app sa
App.
phone or app sa tablet. Pero pag wala,
Wala.
and it's just an extension, sa
Wala.
web browser lang po siya talaga nag-work.
Thank you. I asked this because Mayor Joy Belmonte gave away like
Yeah. Sorry,
tablet.
wala. I just checked the
Okay
Android.
po. Thank you po. I find this interesting because I'm an English teacher and reading is part of it. So it's a cool app.
Yeah.
When I tried opening it po, nag-pop po yung yung class ko, tapos biglang nawala. Pag in-end nyo na po ba, sir, mawawala rin po siya?
Yes. On my end, pag in-end ko.
Thank you po.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
Sir, tsaka kay Ma'am Paula.
Mm.
Possible po ba siya yung insert learning po sign in with Microsoft account?
Pwede siyang Microsoft Teams. Naka sa Microsoft Teams, yes.
Okay po, thank you po. Naka-enroll na po ako kanina, sir. Bigla hong nawala po yun.
Okay, sige po. Sige po. If you want to go to insert learning, you just look for insert learning and then log in. Okay. Baka I'm not sure if there's a issue na you're participating here and then you're trying to create something a little. But when you want to do insert learning, process-wise, punta kayo sa isang website. So I'll go to another website. Kunyari ito. Then you click on the insert learning. Ganun siya palagi. Pag pumunta kasi kayo sa actual site, tapos doon kayo mag-i-edit, hindi pwede. So the students have to go through insert learning. Hindi kayo pwedeng dumiretso sa website. Yun yung process na. Kaya siguro nawawala kayo. So you have to access it through insert. So if a student wants to answer it offline na wala ka na, log in siya sa insert learning and click the link from there. Di ba may dashboard ako? So if I go to the dashboard, the student should see the dashboard kung ano yung naka-assign sa kanya. So if he wants to participate, dun siya dapat dadaan sa dashboard. Hindi niya makikita through a Google, pag nag-search siya sa Google. Hindi ganun. So yun, dito dapat niya makikita as a student.
So it's like, sir, a classroom within a classroom. Parang if like I'm using Google Classroom, then insert ko tong extension. They will be led to this another.
Yes. Parang ganun. Okay. So that's me. That's everything that I have to talk about. I'm conscious about the time, but I'll add some more on site. Okay. So that's it. So thank you very much for this one. Ma'am Del, it's your turn, or do we go for a quick break muna? Kasi po wala eh, dire-diretso na.
Pwede rin quick
Break
break,
muna,
whatever.
break muna.
Yeah,
Break na muna tayo. So mga 10-minute break. So it's 10:23, 10:33 please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, sige. Thank you. Sige po.
Okay. We are back. So I hope you enjoyed the session on web search applications. And I know some of you might have questions that you have not thought about at this moment. Siguro pag nagtatry nyo na, nakikita nyo may concern. Okay, so don't hesitate to let us know because anyway, we still have one more week next week. So if you think that the question is very pressing for today, you can put it in the chat box. If you think that it can wait until next week, then we will go back to that next week. Okay. However, we will encourage you to really try the web applications that were taught to you. And then if there is a possibility to really put it in your classroom, then try it in the classroom so that we will know some concerns that might really um, open, okay, to us in terms of our online learning these days. So I think we all understand that we are in a different situation, all of us. I don't think any of us are in the same situation, okay? So if you look at it, some of us are, the schools is really providing for all the necessary um, alternatives so that we will be able to use and go on online training or teaching smoothly. Some of us do not have certain things that other schools have. Some of the schools are very limited in a way, and that's why they have what we call alternatives like offline learning or modules to back up whenever there is a need. And so you will notice that we are approaching education and learning and teaching in different ways. Okay. It is also possible that in one school, even if we try to reach a point wherein we want to be a little bit uniform in LMS, not only that, in the way we do things, even in our way of presentation, even in synchronous and asynchronous teaching and learning, there are several alternatives that we have to follow. We notice that in a school or even in a classroom, there could be different ways, okay? And there could be different approaches that we as teachers will have to do. Okay, this is where I think our being teachers and alertness in being teachers are called for. Sometimes you cannot anymore call your supervisors or explain to your principal whatever is happening because I think there is a call for you to eventually decide. And that's the reason why courses like ours would really help because you can really look into it and say that, well, I have learned about this, then I will apply certain things that you have learned here in this class. So today, part of what we are really going to look into also is research, okay? I think all of us are aware that research is an important factor in education right now, okay? It is something like a careful consideration of a study regarding a particular concern or problems, okay? And we are looking into research as a systematic inquiry, okay, to be able to describe, predict, and control the observed phenomenon. But I think part of being education students in the graduate school is really looking into research. I think graduate school will not be graduate school without research, okay? Ano naman ang difference ng undergrad or even high school or senior high if we are not going to do research when in fact even senior high these days are doing researches, okay? Now, more so in education, there is a lot of calling for us to really try to do research, okay? And I think before, many years ago, when I just came into the Ateneo grade school, I realized that we have a research office, okay, in that school. And that was many, many, many years ago. And I was asking myself, what has that research office to do? And then I realized, as I was staying in that school, that everything that is being introduced in the school goes through a certain research. Okay, so in other words, if we want to change something in the classroom setting, etc., there is a research office to look into it, and we are there to put our 1 point or 2 points suggestions or recommendations or some observations that we have, so that we are going to do the new challenges that are given to us more definite. Okay, we are definite of what we are going to do, and that we lessen the mistakes that we are going to encounter. So research has been in education for so long. Some people are not really into research. They think that by hearsay, following other schools will be the good one. That's why I discourage people from answering them when they ask me before questions like, anong ginagawa ninyo sa Ateneo? Para ang feeling ko, bakit? Hindi naman kami ang pinaka-research office, di ba? So if you are just wanted to know, I will answer you. But if you want to know because you want to say that siguro pwede din namin gawin yan, I would advise that you look into it more diligently, or look into it more I think with more precise questions that you might want to ask. Ano ba talaga ang objective nyo? Bakit gusto nyo malaman kung anong ginagawa natin? And so on and so forth. So every time we have what we call benchmarking from teachers in other schools, they will come to us. So we will encourage them to say, yeah, this is where we are because we conducted a research on this. However, if you want to do it in your school, siguro dapat kayo din mako-conduct kayo ng research. Don't follow us blindly, because just being Ateneo will not guarantee that it will be successful in your own school. Sometimes even with the researches that we are doing, talagang hindi pa rin maayos yung school natin. So anyway, one of the drawbacks of research is that at the very beginning, some of our supervisors are a little bit wary of research. Like they will say something like, naku, pag nalaman natin kung ano yan, di palpak tayo. Para bang they are so afraid to know that there is something wrong in your school. I remember very well a teacher telling me, I went out of the country to study. I used my school as the research situation, and I brought it into a thesis, and then at the same time really study it very well, and at the end we found out that there is something that needs improvement. So when I presented it to the principal and to the school does not want me to present it to anyone else. Okay, wag mo i-present yan, hindi yan maganda para sa school natin. So hindi ganon ang dapat natin tingnan sa research, and especially on something new like media and media applications. I think it is something very important that we look into studies that has been done about this. I think all of us are aware that studies can help us, like we can find out or verify an issue. All right, if there is an issue, we like to verify what it is. We can look at the process that need to be followed. We can look at an argument if there is any that need to be looked into. We can look at evidence that will be required for people to believe in the idea. Okay, bakit natin gawin to? Okay, so in other words, we have to back it up with some evidences. So when we look at issue, it is supposed to be an important topic or problem for debate or discussion. Okay, there is an issue, so we are going to look at it. It is an important topic that we are looking into. It could be a problem, it could be something for discussion, it could be small, it could be big. Okay, but the most important thing, it is something that we have to attend to, because it could be something that we'll have to look to, that all of us will have to look into, so that we are going to do something more scientifically correct. Okay, so for example, in this type wherein online learning biglaan, di ba, nangyari, I'm very sure marami tayong issues na naisip. Okay, siguro ang daming issues per school, per person, per teacher, might have some personal issues, group issues, unit issues, subject issues, school issues that we might be looking into in terms of this application of media and technology or the online learning that we have right now. So it might be into the applications itself, it could be into the process, but we have some issues to talk about. In the module that we presented this week, okay, I was suggesting, or we were suggesting to you that whatever issues you have, you are going to narrow that topic into questions. So one of the things that is non-graded that we ask you to do is to think of 3 topics that you can turn into a question, okay? That you can make a question out of it, that you have to ask a question. And then that is going to be your focus. Because when we look at research, we can look at it as a thesis, malaking research. We can also look at it as small researches, okay? Na hindi naman kailangan. I think you have heard about action research and all these type of researches that are being done, qualitative research, quantitative research. Yun mga nakikita natin. And I think we are not going to talk about that in detail. What we are going to focus here is that if there are certain issues that you see with regards to media and technology applications, even before, okay, before the pandemic, and now more because of the pandemic, then you can narrow that topic by looking into questions. So I ask you to look into 3 questions that you might be interested. All right, so can anyone share with us if you have thought of any topic, even just one? Mayroon ba nakaisip? Any one of you? Or you were lost with that particular part of the module? Anyone? Have you thought of some issues that you might want to look into? Wala?
Dahil siguro po sa end, naisip ko lang po, one possible issue would be yung how can we sustain the academic integrity given the context that we are right now. Like,
Alright.
yes. Ano po siya, both online, modular, kasi although nandun yung trust ng teacher, yan.
Okay. So, looking at it, that is really part of the assessment part, di ba? Yung academic integrity that they're saying right now. And I think also when it comes to homework and to performance stats that are being done. Okay, so yun. So that is also very interesting because actually there are a lot of schools are facing that concern right now, academic integrity. How do we do academic integrity? Okay, so I'll give you an example. Thank you very much, Angela, for that. So a few years back, not very long ago, when we had the research work of our students, what we really do, Sir Bong and I, is to ask them to already look for the researches. Okay, and then they are going to look for it and present it to class. But of course, they must have a particular issue in mind also. Okay, because without an issue in mind, you will just be looking for researches that other people are doing, but not be so important to you as a teacher. So if you are an elementary teacher and dealing more with children, you might have very specific research questions that you want to deal with. Okay, so for this teacher, okay, or group of teachers, what they did was they thought of website, okay, as an issue. Kasi at that time, even without the online learning, the school is already looking into website as a research issue, and particularly website for children. Okay, that is the issue that was looked upon by the teachers. In this issue of research, the question that they ask is, how do we determine good websites for children? And are there groups of who evaluates websites for children? Okay, and there are many more questions that they ask. Okay, regarding websites for children. Ano ba talaga ang gusto natin malaman? Ano ba yung problema natin sa websites? O bakit nagiging problema to? Remember, when the website started coming in and then children are already learning how to use the computer, also taught by the school, and that is also good for us to know that they are being taught this, because otherwise we will have more problems right now if they did not have what we call computer classes. But of course, yung websites, naging problema yan sa mga schools, especially religious schools, okay? They are very careful about things. Kaya nag-isip na ng mga nursery, kung ano-ano mga para ipa-block yun, etc., etc. So this group of students were interested to look at that. Knowing that, what they did was they presented a complete bibliography to us, okay? So they look at, that is their concern, they look into different types of magazines, and they saw studies like evaluation of educational websites, okay? Based on a perspective. And they got this from a Sage journal, okay? Volumes 16, and then they put all the details, including the page number. So this particular research issue was looked into by this person, Faith, okay, and she wrote paper 26 page with pages 26 to 45. So ang dami na. So based on that, okay, the reporters look into the objectives. Okay, what are the objectives of this group? So their objectives, the objectives of the study was to examine to what extent children's educational websites used in Qatari schools are developmentally appropriate. So ito pala yung study ginagawa sa isang place sa Qatar. Okay, determine whether the appropriateness of this website varies in terms of children's age, website source, and school types. Explore children's perception of the educational website used in their school, and determine the different types of activities children engage with while using these websites. At that time, this was a very interesting study. And this study was done in 2018. And this study was being studied by our own students in 2019. Okay, so 1 year after. So it's a 2-year study. In 2 years, nakikita natin baka hindi na to ang main questions that we can ask as of now, di ba? Siguro napalit na yung questions because it evolves, as we say. If technology and education evolves, so are the different things that we have seen in the bench, in our application work. Look, we have been teaching this subject for quite some time, kami dalawa ni Sir. And every year we do change how we do things, okay? Because of the fact that na-evolve yung mga either websites or yung applications or yung process, na-evolve siya. So looking into this study, when we heard this study last year, we thought, wow, this is very fitting. However, if you look at it now, siguro may iba pang questions about websites connecting to online teaching that we can ask. Okay, and probably this is not the study that you are going to look for. But for their particular question last time, this was the study that they said come close to how they want, what they want to learn more about websites. Okay, and so in this study, their methodology, the methodology of this study has been inspired by the developmentally appropriate practices and keeps in mind to produce a standard for assessing the websites. And the team of assessors have agreed to follow the methodology in designing the study for the population sample, 3 types of primary schools, independent, private, and international. Website suggested, okay, by certain organizations in their place, 50 children, grades 1 to 3, 6 to 8 years old. And for the research instrument, they use developmental scale for assessing children's website, which has 12 domains. They conducted interviews, and they got the consent of parents as well. And for the data collection and analysis, assessors rated each website the percentage of agreement between assessors and the interviews were 20 to 30 minutes long. So this is how the study was conducted. That was the methodology used. And after that, they have what we call findings. So the evaluation, the findings, okay. Through this study, the assessors evaluated the website mentioned to have a moderate degree of appropriateness. They ranked the most developmental domain as follows: easy to navigate, avoiding bias and evidence, clarity, interactivity, age appropriateness, technical design, appropriateness of content, expanding challenges, instructional design, and cultural appropriateness. This did not come from our students. This is part of the study. The only thing our students thought of is the question. Okay, they were asking a question because they are looking into an issue. So with this, looking into this study, the findings was, the reflection of the findings was deliberately, the evaluation of children's educational website should be based on the development perspective, okay? And the reflection of this study for you, or for the students who conducted this, who looked into this study last time, was on how this study applied to teaching practice, okay? Pay attention to that. The reflection we are going to ask you must have a connection on how this study will apply to teaching practice, okay? So for this particular study, their findings was deliberate review of the website. The reflections was deliberate review of the website in terms of its developmental appropriateness to children must be a primary consideration of the educator when website becomes one of the resources or tool in learning. Okay, 2, educators may leverage on differentiated activities in the website since based from the developmental perspective of children learning. And using website as a tool for learning must undergo standardized supervision to ensure positive utilization of products for the benefit of the learners. Okay, so this is already the finding of the students who read about the research. Okay, so there could be other reflections, like educational websites should tap all domains and recognize holistic development. Websites should not be commercialized, but actually serve its purpose to educate, and educators must carefully select websites. Okay, so we could look at that as additional reflections. All right, so this is how we would like you to look into the issues. We are not after how to make a research. We are after that you are able to navigate and to also search for studies regarding media apps and media technology when you are not very sure that it is something that can be used educationally. Ngayon, marami tayong problem. Okay, ang isang problem natin that you can look into is YouTube. Kung ano-ano mga YouTube na pinapalabas sa classroom na sometimes the parents will react. Anong YouTube yan? What will my children learn out of it? Kasi cut and paste yan, di ba? Marami tayong cut and paste. So, if Sir Bong was telling you that from 8 o'clock, aabot kayo ng 5 o'clock, saka ka-search ng correct and look into different applications, ganun din yung nakikita natin problem ngayon. That we are taking more time to look into the materials that we are going to post, especially if the students will be the one to do asynchronous learning, okay, with the post that you are giving them. Kasi nakikita naman natin ngayon, okay, I think everybody is aware of it, while before we do a lot of conversing with the students, teaching, as we call it, mentoring, face-to-face, nakikita natin sila, we have what we call interactive reactions from them, and then we are also able to interact with them from what we know, and we are going to say it like, you know, face-to-face with them. Today, sometimes we will not be able to do that. So when we post something or ask them to do something, ang iba, nagsistay lang sila sa textbooks. But it will not work because mabobore yung bata doon. So we allow ourselves to use applications. And when we allow them to use applications, kailangan din iti-test natin yung applications natin. And that's why the rubric that was sent earlier to you or shown to you would be also a helpful guide for everybody. But the point is, the reason why we are putting this in our course is because, first of all, you are all graduate school and you really need to read researches. And the other one is because, especially now, we have really to base our decision on the researches that has been done. Okay? Mahirap na especially for children wherein they cannot critically sometimes ask questions. They will just absorb it. Okay? Some high school students are better off because they will say, why did you give us that, mom? What was the reason why that is the YouTube you use for us? Okay? So does it mean that we can use something else? So they can critically discuss with you even on a chat box or even during consultation time. But as a teacher, I think it is so important for us in any kind of field that we have to really to look into this. And that's the reason why we are putting this as part of a major requirement for you. Okay? The research is vital in education. So we are going to look into a research issue that is really practical for you that you can use or your school can use. Your school can benefit. You're going to look into a bibliographic data of research read. Okay, so we gave you a sample of journals that you can look into. So what could be the bibliographic data? Ang bibliographic data na sinasabi natin is just the bibliographic entry. All right, just the bibliographic entry wherein you are going to put where you got what is this research resource you are going to read or that you got, okay, to look into the research issue that you thought about, okay, into the research question. And then you're going to do a bibliographic data, all right, and then you put the brief summary of the research, including the objectives, a little bit about process and methodology, relevant details if you have, okay. So this will come from the research material. This is not coming from you, okay. This is what they did out of this research. And then what are the findings of the research? Every research has a finding. So in other words, you are going to look into a summary of this finding. Okay, so hindi naman kailangan na copy lang kayo, but you can also summarize the findings of the research. And then at the end, the most important thing is your personal reflection on how this research apply to teaching practice. Okay, you can look at it from now or at this time or in reference to your school or reference to the public schools or the private schools or whatever. Okay, so this is our module 4.03, research is vital in education. And this is the explanation. Now, a research that you do or a research that you read will not mean anything if you going to keep it to yourself. Okay, usually, ako na lang magbasa nito. Hindi ko to i-share. I think research does not last long. After a while, nawawala. But there's a lot of money that goes to research. I remember very well when I was working with the National Council for Children's TV, one of the things that I did as I sat down in that office is to do a research, on whether television is still something that children really are using today or iba na ba? Okay, kasi ang pangalan ng office is National Council of Children's Television. Pero at that time, children are into all kinds of media, and we don't know if television is just one of them. But this office has the name television, and every budget that comes from people's money goes to that in terms of television. So we conducted a research on that, okay? That was about 4 years ago, that when we conducted the research, or yeah, about 4 years ago. And do you know at that time, the budget of that research was 1.2 million. Okay? It went from Abra all the way to Holo, that particular studies. We conducted a study, all that. So, and then I had people who I have to outsource to look into, not only to act as the survey and interviewers, but also to statisticians, okay, writers as well. Although I have somebody in the office who is very good in research to look into that. And then we put together a book. And if you look at the book, a few pages of books, like 100 and so pages, I told myself, wow, 1.2 million just to know that this is what is happening. Okay, this is the way we look at television right now. Okay, and then we conducted a series of seminars to allow our studies to go and be shared to as many teachers as possible. Okay, mostly in the public school, and then later on also in the private schools. Okay, and then we gave away so many copies of this material to us. But look, after just 2 to 3 years, the research is not anymore useful. Okay? Wala na. Tapos na yon. At that time, it was, I proved a point. I put it in the budget. I was able to do more programs for it. But within 3 years, I have to finish everything. Otherwise, wala. Parang wala na. Hindi na importante yung data ngayon. Okay? So, kaya, itong mga researches that we see should not really, within 5 years, it must be look into. Because after 5 years, parang you really have to look whether it is still useful, whether it is still something that is valid, okay, that it can still be used, or whether you can just use it now as a reference, okay? So, what is important now is that I don't like that after you do this individually, you are going to keep it to yourself. So therefore, on the 17th, okay, which is next week, we are going to have a session wherein you're going to share it with a group of friends in this class. Okay, so we are going to find a way for you to be able to share it. It is very difficult for us to get a time wherein 20 of you will share to everyone. It might not be very logical for us to do that, okay, knowing our time frame. So we are going to just share with a small group of people. And then kami ni sir, because you are going to post it, we are going to read it as well, okay? But we are very interested to see what are some of the issues right now, especially in online learning, okay, and technology. Something close to your heart, something that you can really look into. Now, the process of research or how you are going to do it is the process that you are going to follow as a graduate student, okay? Kasi hindi pwede sa graduate student, especially for those in their first year in the graduate school, that we don't read, okay, that we don't know how to search. Kailangan alam natin. And I think you have been given workshop and seminars and webinars on the Rizal Library as well and other libraries, okay, that you can look into. So we are not going to limit researches just in the Rizal Library. No, you can explore other libraries. If your library in your own area, in your own school is really good and you can find the journals of your issue, then go ahead and get that research, okay? Now, just to be, just for you to know, in the last 2 years, okay, we have very interesting research presentations that were made. The power of digital storytelling to support teaching and learning is one of them. Okay, just to give you an idea. Mobile computing devices in higher education. Students' perspective on learning with cell phones, smartphones, and social media. iPad as a literacy teaching tool in early childhood. Okay, the use of Facebook for educational purpose in a classroom. Media education in the school 2.0 era, teaching media literacy through laptop, computers, and iPads. Creating a game, an application curriculum for schools. YouTube, integration in school science classes. Understanding its roots. ways selection of the criteria. Effects of computer-based video instruction on the acquisition and generalization of what we call purchasing skills of students and intellectual disability. Okay? The use of technology in the promotion of children's emotional intelligence, developing emotional intelligence, using Kahoot in the classroom to create engagement and active learning. Okay? And assess the use of Minecraft education in the classroom, and many more. So we can have gamification of learning, etc., and etc., and etc. So there are many issues that we can look into. Okay, so kaya nagbigay kami sa inyo ng panahon to look into this and think about a practical issue that you can benefit. All right? And then your classmates also will benefit. So, bago sila, kayo muna. I will benefit from this study. Even if nobody will like my study, at least ako magamit ko to. I can share it with my co-teachers. I can share it with parents. I can share it with teachers. I can share it with guidance counselors, and so on and so forth. And this is going to be something very useful, okay? Because after our class, you can still share the research that you read, okay? And then you can develop a research thinking in your schools as well, okay? So yon. So, any questions so far? Okay ba? Na-pressure na ba lahat ng tao? Okay, ma-pressure kasi interesting din to. Alright? So, sandali. I have to admit someone. Okay. Now, aside from that, okay, aside from looking into that research, we also have what we call case studies and action research. Okay, case studies and action research. I think for most of us, action research is being called for, especially if you are a PAASCO accredited school. You will see in the faculty area or instructional area more action research. Okay, and I think if I'll ask you to explain it here, you can easily explain what is an action research. Okay, but in the interest of time, okay, we will look into, I'll just tell you what it is. Number one, case study is a kind of qualitative research, and research problem or focus is broader in scope, but few research populations. So when we look at case studies, it is probably classroom-based, okay? Very few research applications that a population that we are going to talk about, comparing that with what we call action research. Because an action research is like a mini thesis, okay? The research problem is very much focused on a very particular context, usually in the classroom. And this implies research population is also small, okay? But when you look at a case study approach is sometimes used in an action research, okay? So there is a very thin difference between case studies and action research. So sometimes it is interchangeably used. Like they will say, we are looking into this case study, and then we are going to make an action research out of it, okay? So there might be a case study of a student, okay, who has some problems, behavioral or academic problems, and then after that, they will look into an action research that they will do for the whole school. That is possible, okay? But what we are going to do here is next week, okay, because we don't have the time, and I want to explain the infographic to you today so that you have time to prepare it. Next week, we are going to look into a case study, okay? This is also part of the research that we are going to look into, but it is a case study. So we are not going to give the case study ahead of time, okay? So kailangan ang case study ibibigay namin on the day itself so that when we divide you into groups next week, you're going to look into this case study. Okay, so dalawa na pala yung sharing natin, Sir Bong, next week. One is this research and this one of the case study. But anyway, research na lang naman talaga ang naiwan sa ating modules. Okay, so do you have, if you have some, what we wanted you to look into here is case studies have been used for years by different and various professions. And teachers use them too, to create a sense of relevance to learning and new content. It is also an interesting problem with the possibility of many correct answers. Okay, and so this is very interesting because we are going to present a case study to you, and you're going to work on that case study and see how our class applications, how our class studies like asynchronous and the synchronous that we have has given you some ideas about the case study that we are going to present next week. Okay? So yun. So next week na lang to kasi parang wala na tayong time, 11:60 na. Okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about the module 408, 4.08, which is creating an infographic presentation of an issue in media and technology application in school. Okay, I will just do another sharing because I like to make it a little bit detailed. Okay, mag-stop share muna ako dito and then mag-share screen ako sa isa. Okay, this one is on the, okay, this one is on the infographic presentation of an issue in media application. Okay, and this is something that part of our way of looking into research also is to, when we present it to a school, it should be like clearly what is the problem, okay, why is it being done, and then who will benefit from it and what will be the steps. Okay, and this is the one that we are going to teach you because we like you to go beyond just the applications that we are teaching you. We like you to go as a group of students beyond just the integration. We would like you to look into other issues that might be helpful, okay, to you as a group of students, especially now during this time when teaching is very difficult. And we are going to use infographic as our way of presentation, okay? This is not the most important thing. Siyempre, the most important thing is the content. But then the manner of presentation is an infographic because we would like you to apply the learning that you have in Canva, for example. Okay? If that is the application you would like to use, then go ahead. If there is any other application that you want to use that can do infographic, you can also use that. Okay? So in your modules also, there was a part there about Canva, okay, and how to go about it. But as I said, you can also use something else. So infographic is a clip compound of information and graphics. A graphic visual representation of information, data, or knowledge intended to present information quickly and clearly. They can improve cognition by utilizing graphics to enhance the human visual system's ability to see patterns and trends. Similar pursuits are information visualization, data visualization, statistical graphics, information design, or information architecture. Infographics have evolved in recent years to be mass communication and thus are designed with fewer assumptions about the reader's knowledge based on other types of visualizations. Okay? Again, we are talking about an issue, an important topic or a problem for debate or discussion. Example, the issue of global warming. Okay? But is the issue of global warming an issue of media or technology? Is it an issue of media applications? So you have to ask yourself, anong klaseng issue yan? Science issue lang ba yan? Issue ba yan ng, pwede ba yan ilagay ko as issue of media apps? Okay? So, concern, matter of contention, or some controversies that we see that we would like to pursue. Where do we get our issue for media application in education? Based on our research work. So, magbasa tayo ng research work, readings, discussion, and lab work, we probably have seen and will be concerned on some issues present as we try to know the different applications and how we can use such apps in our lesson. Before, ang aming issue dito is yung walang kamatayang PowerPoint. Okay, sinasabi namin. PowerPoint na naman, so that became an issue. Okay, and is that an issue of media app? Is that an issue of technology? Ang teacher said, yes, that is an issue. So if you look at that, we are going to use that as the issue we will do and think about, okay, in this manner of infographic. So issues like training can also be part, okay? Kulang ng training ang mga tao. It's a good issue. Availability, okay? I want to do something else, but it's not available. Internet connections, wow, that is an issue today, di ba? If you look at our Wi-Fi, if you look at some of the comic strips that are being, what we call this, promoted right now, na ang mga teachers ay nasa bubong ng bahay nila para makakuha sila ng Wi-Fi, okay? You can see that it is really an issue. Is that an issue in school? And is the school going to address that issue? And how are you going to present that to the school? Others issue like health, okay? Is health, environment, finance, etc. Our learning of media application, is that an issue of media? Is that an issue of application? Is that an issue of technology? Ano ba yung mga issues na nakikita natin ngayon just because we realize that we are looking into this 21st century, we are looking into the pandemic, part of COVID-19. We are looking into all these things that are happening in our environment. So are we looking into health issues, environment issues as well, finance issues, or just the training, availability, connections, or whatever? What are the issues that is really pressing for me that could help my barangay, or could help my community, or could help my school? Okay? Because this is already part of the applications that we are doing. Yes, we studied 21st century learners, we studied summer and TPAC, we studied TIP and TEAM, we look into applications. Now for our research ideas now, and all the things that we are looking into, there are certain issues that we have really to face head on. Hindi pwede bigla na lang dati magtanong, sir, ano yung solution nyo dito? Sir, ano yung suggestion nyo dito? Kami, magsasabi kami sa aming suggestions based also on what we know, what we read, what we have discussed, what probably we have seen. But I think the best solution here is that we are going to also read what researchers are saying about it. Or you yourself, as a researcher in the near future, after you took out all the units, you're going to do your own research, okay? You're looking into that, okay? And you don't like your research to be like sleeping on the shelves. You like it's something that will be useful. And the same way, when we look at our class, Sir Bong and I were thinking that at the end of the day, they must be able to take home something that they will be able to present to their schools. Okay? Now, am I going to ask you to make a thesis? No, it's not possible at this time. So, we are going to ask you to make certain things like this, like yung research that we talk about, yung questions, and then how to go about reading it in the resources that we have, and of course this one. Okay, now ito may mga steps. Outline the goals of your infographic, collect data, and then visualize, choose the right design template, add style to your infographic. Okay, these are all simple. I'm very sure kayang-kaya nyo to. Okay? Wala tong problema. Hindi ito ang problem natin. But we are going to look into the headings to be used in the infographic. There are only 4 headings that I am going to suggest that you are going to use. When you have your research problem, choose one issue and do an infographic with the following headings. The first heading is, what is the issue? The second heading is what is your intent. The third heading is the interest. And the fourth heading is the implementation. Okay? So the infographic, which is coming out of your own research, okay, will only talk about issue, intent, interest, and implementation. I'll explain this by using what our student did. To explain each heading, I will use the work of Mr. Alfredo Joaquin Arias as an example. Mr. Arias is a science teacher of the Ateneo Junior High School, and I am using his work with permission. Okay? So I have asked him that I will use his work. Is it because it is the best work? No, because ang dami naming best work. Okay? But I just chose this. The title of this work is Blue Goes Green. Uy, hindi ibig sa Ateneo goes Lasal, di ba? Hindi yun. Blue grows green. Sa title pa lang niya, nagulat na mga tao. It is the subtitle of his work is the reduction of paper usage by promoting file distribution through learning management systems. Okay, so this research was done about a year and a half ago. Okay, so he is a science teacher. He is into environment. So he was looking at paper as an issue in the environment. Yung tapon dito, tapon doon. And then ang dami nating papel. And then afterwards, what will you do with all this? So he said that my way of looking at this research is the reduction of paper usage by promoting file distribution through a learning management system. Learning management system is definitely technology. Okay, so pasok siya doon sa ating klase, di ba? It is not beyond what we are looking into. So at the time when we are still looking for learning management systems and trying to acquaint ourselves with learning management systems, but we are not really using it because until the time the pandemic came, then we decided, oh, we need a learning management system. Now we are very good into understanding what learning management system is. So at that time, he already thought about learning management system for reduction of paper usage. So that the issue is, what issue in media application in education will you choose to work on? You state the rationale or reason for choosing this issue. So the issue is having a paper cut. He explained that sustainability has been one of the cornerstones of the Ateneo Junior High School science curriculum since the formation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. While the measures have been taken to adopt a more sustainable approach to education, the use of paper in science classes remain high, thanks to lab reports, research papers, and learning handouts for students. So that is his issue, okay? His issue is looking into this. And he connected that with how Ateneo Junior High School curriculum, since the formation of what we call this United Nations thing, okay, was looking into the sustainability. All right, so nakakonect yung kung ano yung programa ng science department nila, looking into a wider scope of definitely looking into sustainability and looking into something that is not just within a small sphere, but a bigger sphere, and adapting it or looking into it as an issue that we can deal with through our science classes. Now, intent. Ang intent niya is what goals do you want to achieve as you study the issue at hand? What do you want to achieve? So it is a goal. It is the objective. So intent sustainable distribution goal, the goal of the initiative is to conserve resources and curb the usage of paper in the HS science classes. It is hoped that meaningful learning experiences in research, laboratories, classroom sessions could still be given effectively while using alternatives to printed handouts in the distribution and in the submission of their work. Okay? So, ito ang kanyang tinitingnan lang yung science science lang. All the papers that go into the science department nila. Okay? So, siguro nakikita niya kung gaano kadami yung paper. So, that the intention therefore is to lessen that. Okay? Is to lessen that. To help save the environment as well. Okay? And to work that out with what we call learning management system. So, that is the intention. So, when we look at the issue, it's the concern. When we look at the intent, it's the goal. Okay? What is the problem? The interest is what good will this issue bring to the school or community at large? Ano bang interest nito? Ano bang benefit nito? Di ba? Why will we do this? For what? Di ba? Why we are going to do this? We are not just going to do this because it is a requirement of Education 251. We are going to do this because it has a greater probably use, okay, by a group of people, subject area, level, community, okay, barangay, or later on, probably the world, okay? So, interest is papering over the cracks. It is the interest of the initiative to prepare teachers and students for the 21st century classroom with minimal paper usage. So, tingnan mo, na-connect niya kaagad sa 21st century. And this involves digital media training in alternative means of distribution. This means more than just getting comfortable with alternatives to printed handouts, is seeing it as the most convenient way to distribute and submit needed, okay, information needed for this activity, for this science activity. Sorry. Teka. All right, so for the science activity. So interest is talking about of what good will this study or research be? Sino ang makinabang nito? Okay, if we are going to do this. So we are already combining here 21st century learning. We are combining problems that we have in the world. We are combining technology and media applications that we can look into. Okay, and looking into a bigger sphere, okay? And the last one, of course, is the implementation. And the implementation, it says, what steps will you suggest to implement the issue at hand? Okay? So, ito na yon. Like, ano yung mga isa-suggest nyo? What will be the implementation part? So, learning management systems training. Yun ang kanyang tinitingnan. Training teachers on the use of learning management system is a step. 2, focus workshop on how to integrate learning management system into the teaching styles of the teachers. And 3, students should also be taught to maximize the use of digital distribution platforms through computer education classes. So here there is an integration of another subject, which is the computer subject. Okay? So, this is the whole idea of the 4: issue, intent, interest, implementation. So, ito lang yung 4 na gusto natin tingnan. We are not going to make you write a paper, okay? Because that will be very tedious at this time. You're teaching, you're doing asynchronous teaching and so on. So, we are thinking that this is a better way of doing things. So, in continuation with that, mayroon pa siyang making paper, use paper thin. So, science teachers will reduce their usage of paper gradually by setting specific targets to meet in paper reduction. Activities will be redesigned such that the necessity for printed handouts or submission will be minimized in favor of digital distribution, and publicize the paper reduction statistics to inspire students to what we call, inspire students to do what is supposed to be the concern of this study. Okay, so mayroon siyang training na as a step, as implementation, and then mayroon siyang suggestion for the students. So, if you look at this study, this is how it will look when the data collected from the issue, intent, interest, and implementation is put together through the use of infographics. So this is his title, The Reduction of Paper Usage by Promoting File Distribution Through Learning Management System. And this is how the infographic looks like now. Okay, so you will see interest, you will see intent, you will see issue, intent, interest, implementation. Okay, and this is the whole idea of what we would like all of you to do for our 4.8 module. Okay, so ito yon. So putting everything that you have learned, ano yung gusto niyo i-work out that will have a combination of everything. Okay? Not necessarily all. Hindi naman possible yon. But at least to show us that there is something that you have learned here and at the same time that you have read through research as well that can benefit a community, a school, okay, a barangay, a group of people, okay, or a family even, okay? And then what will be the implementation. And then you put all your reference here as well. Now, with this, if you cannot put everything, because you are only going to put here the most important points. All right? Kasi syempre, infographic yan. Hindi naman pwede. So, you can attach also a paper to us, a one-page paper explaining some of the things that probably you did not put here, but you want us to know. Okay, like how you did it, what went through when you're making it, so you can also attach that paper to and give it to us. Okay, so ito yon. So looking at this, it will be issue is the problem, the concern, intent is the intention, the goal, the objectives, interest is the gains, benefit it will have, and implement is how will it be achieved. Okay, what are the steps you are going to take? Now, given the parameters, okay, given is the issue must be connected to our class on media application in education. Definitely, like siya, learning management system ang ginamit niya. Hindi kami magsasabi na it should be limited just to the issue that is taught in class, but other things that you are aware of or that you became aware of. Okay, limit it to just a page. Do not submit to us 4 infographics. Okay, isa lang. Nandun na lahat. Okay, and then, but you can have a page of explanation. And then the headings of the infographic will be the title and or subtitle that you have. Then you have to specifically put the issue, intent, interest, and implementation. Then probably if you have more space, the reference that you use, and at the end also your name. Don't forget your name and this class. Okay, you can make a decision on the following. You can make a decision of the design, okay, the format, the letter font, the colors, the size as long as it is a page, and don't forget to put your name and our class education 251 preferably at the bottom of the page. Okay, so yun mga givens namin na has to be present, and then the one-page explanation that you might like to add. Okay, so this is it. This is the way it is. Okay, this is for our work. Ito yun. So you have any question? This one, the due time for this is October 30. Okay, so you have enough time to do this. We are not going to put this together for next week because we know that next week is going to be a research work that you are also going to read. So we are not going to do that sabay. So this is going to be October 30. This is the last requirement you are going to submit. Okay, so you have a requirement on lesson plan and then the plantilla and so on and so forth. So this is the last one. So do you have any sharing or do you want to add anything or do you want to ask a question about this requirement?
Ma'am Del? Ma'am Del?
Yes, Sir Bong.
Sorry. Technically, it's not the last. It's the last required for Ma'am Del. Meron pa ako. May lab pa kayo sa akin.
After the 30th, ang submission?
Hindi. During that time pa yung submission.
What I'm saying, sir, is the last day. Yeah. Okay. I stand corrected. Oo nga, mayroon pa si sir. Pero ang ibig ko sabihin, siguro ang 30th na talaga yung pinaka-last na nating mga submissions.
Tama yun,
Oo.
tama. Apa.
Yes, oo. We will not go until November kasi
Hindi.
may ibang klase na. Oo.
Apa.
Okay. They will be in another class already. So, yun. Okay. Thank you, sir. Mayroon pa si sir, ha? Pero ito naman,
Ma'am,
kami din ni sir. Oo, sige. Yes?
ma'am, ang i-ask ko lang po is that yung deadlines po ba would be specified po dun sa calendar in Canvas.
Apa. Yes.
Yeah.
I will specify it.
Opo. Kasi just to raise lang din po, it's more convenient din po kasi na makita dun sa calendar, given that we're also doing other subjects, to at least see the spread of the task that we need to do. So it would be really helpful if may indicator po na yun yung deadline for the specific project.
Okay, that's
I will put the deadlines. Don't worry, Paula. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Ma'am, sir, sorry.
yes.
In connection po with Paula's, aside from the deadline, can we also have these guidelines, the parameters and everything?
Yes. Yes, we can. It is actually in the PowerPoint. What I just read to you is the sample from the very beginning, but in the PowerPoint that I had this morning, which I think it will be uploaded, nandun siya.
So we'll have a copy of the whole PowerPoint. Thank you po.
Itong PowerPoint, sige, tingnan ko to. Okay, para may
Kahit yung
guide
lang, ma'am, yung guidelines lang po and the parameters of every,
sige.
of all the tasks po that we have to do po sana.
Okay.
Thank you po.
Any more? Any more feelings that you want to tell us? Okay lang naman kami kung magsasabi kayo na pagod na kayo.
Halata na po ba, ma'am? Napagod na po kami.
Hindi, kasi alam ko na lahat ng tao na first quarter pa lang ay naano na sila, malapit na sila ano ba yung tawag nila sa akin the other day sa school na, ma'am, up to the point na talaga kami. Parang fourth quarter na kami. But you know that is really difficult. Kasi nakikita naman natin ngayon, like I was telling them, our synchronous is less, but we have more work. Diba? You notice that? Dati magturo tayo maskin pang 5 subjects a day, okay lang yun. Hindi naman tayo nagpe-prepare ganito katindi, diba? That is the way I look at it. Now you're teaching less time inside the classroom, and yet you have more time doing your work. Super. And I was just making the teachers understand yesterday that this is something for me that is really a mystery na dati I'm teaching more subjects, isang araw 4 to 5 subjects, okay lang. Pero ngayon magtuturo ka ng 1, 2, 3 subject, mas marami pa yung oras, wala kang weekend, wala kang lahat. Okay? And then you have studying in graduate school at the Ateneo. So hindi naman din pwede na masacrifice namin yung quality or yung aming objectives for you people in terms of you're getting the course. Okay? Because we want also you to learn.
Ma'am Del, meron po
Yes.
pong isa pang question.
Mm-mm.
Hypothetically, if we cannot meet for the deadline, is there like a deadliest deadline?
Well, that is already your choice. Kasi wala naman kami magawa if you cannot fulfill the deadline. Ang mangyayari dyan, you will come in with your paper or whatever we require of you later on, di ba? For us, and then, yun, makikita namin yun as it will come in. Kasi once we have done your grade, we will just put it as incomplete until you fulfill it. Mm-mm.
Yes,
Ganun
ma'am.
lang yun.
I understand po. Kasi po in our other classes po, meron pong binigay yung professor na timeline, and then it was also mentioned that if we cannot fulfill the requirement, let's say, for example po, hindi kami makapag-fulfill by a day in December, and then we try to submit on January, we were told na we are going to be marked as incomplete. So parang our professor did mention that the deadliest deadline would be this is for the yung pinakamalaking project po for the class. So I was just asking po then if in media, since this is just the first quarter lang po kasi tayo, 'di ba? Unlike po kasi yung ibang
Oo.
classes, buong stretch po kami ng semester. So for media po, ibig po bang sabihin the deadliest deadline is also first quarter po?
Hindi ko riyan maintindihan mga deadliest deadline kasi para sa akin may deadline. Daw pag hindi kayo nako-fulfill ng deadline, you can still submit. No problem. And if you want to take a grade, you submit before December. Because December we are going to submit your grades or November. Hindi wala pa naman rule. I'm not too sure. I can ask Sir Bong whether the first quarter grade should be in differently or we can wait until the second quarter is over. Okay? Kasi yes, sir.
I put on my administrative hat because I'm a chair, Ma'am Del, in another department.
Oo.
From what I know, sa undergrad, they will have only 2 weeks to complete. Undergrad. For the grad, it's normally a semester. So, because it is divided into quarters, if you don't have a grade we will give you a grade by, anong tawag nito? By November. If you don't submit by November, you will be marked on our grades incomplete. Okay? From what I know, nahulog ang aking it will still be a semester as per OAA, OAGDP. So if you're delayed, the deadline is January also. Okay? So the rule is it will
for completion.
For completion. Incomplete.
For completion na yun. Oo.
For completion na yun. So incomplete kayo, yung completion ninyo will be by 1 year. But we will get back to you sa OAGDP dahil nga may mga classes nga sa grad na quarter. So they still don't have a policy on our part for quarter classes, but more for semestral classes. So I think on my part, as a chair, I'm putting on my chair perspective, but this is from another department. If you don't submit by November, it's incomplete. And you can complete it until December so that we can finalize your completion grade. Now, if you submit after December, that essentially, that I don't know if it's still part of the completion. Yung parang pag lumagpas ng ganon pa, hindi ko alam kung it will revert to an F or a C or whatever. That one I don't know, but we will get back to you once we have a response to that.
Yeah. So, basta before we submitted our grade, when you submit it, in pa kayo sa grade namin. So we are encouraging you to follow the deadline or at least before we submit our grades because as you heard, Sir Bong is a chair, so busy and si Sir, di ba? So hindi naman pwede i-run around natin si Sir in terms of that. And then sometimes I'm also, before I used to go out of town, pero at least ngayon wala. So I will be around, but still, if there is something that we are doing, so yun, paminsan nadidelay yung pag-check. Okay, so yun. Kasi we check accordingly, di ba? So yun. But anyway, we know that how difficult it is for you students. So as long as you know when is the grades, like ito November, di ba? So you know that. So mag-submit na kayo before that. So siguro mga 3rd, 4th week of November yan. So you still have extra 2 weeks siguro, yung ganon, if you cannot submit it.
Ma'am, as per Raquel po, if you're incomplete in the first quarter, incomplete ka na po the whole first semester. And then since you're
Oh,
incomplete for the whole first semester, you have, I think by rule, a year or a sem, one of them, a sem or a year to complete it. So, ganun yung mangyayari.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good info for you guys. Mm-mm.
So, we understand na kung hindi nyo makaya, then you have that option of incomplete. But yun nga, as Ma'am Del is saying, we encourage you, but that's not stopping you from, if you do have other work, then yes, we understand on that part also.
Yeah.
So the timeline is on. I will fix the timeline on Canvas. Okay, so that I will do that over the weekend. So that you'll have a clear perspective on that one. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So I just have one more slide because last time our Bidel, si Kin start. Okay. He's very good in following up your concerns. I must congratulate him for doing that for everybody. There was a question about plantilla, okay, or the one of the work that the 2.6, 2.06, wherein based on what you have learned so far on media and technology, get a copy of your plantilla curriculum map or syllabus for the second or third quarter. Okay, and the reason why it's second or third quarter, because again, we would like you to use whatever you are going to make for our class. Kasi parang feeling lang namin is that if you're going to use something on the first quarter, that's over. So you are not anymore going to use it. So better do something that you can still use, okay? Here in this particular work is choose a topic where technology can best be integrated. So di ba sa curriculum map or sa curriculum silabay or sa plantilla ninyo, whatever you have in your school, are you using a plantilla? Are you using a syllabus or a syllabus, or are you using a curriculum map? So whatever you use, there is in that particular thing, mayroon na doon yung mga objectives, kung ano yung iti-take up ninyo during that quarter. You study that quarter and you are going to choose just a topic, okay, where technology can best be integrated. And from that topic, you are going to do the following. You're going to put the subject area, okay, you're going to put the level of that particular plantilla or syllabus where you got the topic, the number of students in your class if you have, okay, the topic in the plantilla, objectives of the lesson of the topic chosen. In other words, you just write the objectives kasi nandun naman yon. This is something that is already done for you. What you're going to do is you are going to write some details, description of how technology or what technology you chose that can best be integrated into the topic. So you are going to explain how you're going to use a particular technology or how you are going to use a particular technology and its application and how you're going to put that into that topic. Yun lang yun ang gagawin niyo. But of course, you have to study. Di ba? Hindi pwede na kung ano yung sinabi doon yun lang. Because based on what, that's why it says here, based on what you have learned, okay, in our class. So you are going to look into this and then you are going to indicate the details and a description of how technology and technology application can best be integrated into the topic. So you might say that for this topic, in the motivation part, I will conduct an assessment and I'm going to use Kahoot. And Kahoot is good because blah, 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 etc. And then you will say, in the presentation of my lesson, I will ask them to open blah, blah, etc. So yun. So you look into that topic and you are going to suggest how can it be done. And then if you're very serious about what you're going to do, you can also use that for your class. Kaya ayaw namin yung you're going to use it for requirement purposes. Yung you're going to do this because you can also use this for your class. Okay, when you reach that part, nandun na siya, or you can also share that with other teachers as well. So that is it. So I hope that explains some of the questions that you have regarding 2.06. Okay? So, mayroon pa bang tanong? All right. So, what we are going to, it's already almost 12. So, this is it for us. If there are no questions, next week, we are going to do what we have not done today, which is the case study and also the reporting of the research issue that I explained earlier. Okay, and then so there will be two groupings that we might we will be able to do next week, and then we are going to summarize and to put together the whole time we were together. Okay, in other words, we are going to summarize everything that we have learned in this class. Okay, because that will be our last week next week. Okay. Ano? Okay na ba? Pressure? Pressure for everybody. Everybody is in the same boat, so relax lang. Isa-isa lang tayo, di ba? Isa-isa lang. Okay? Sir Bong, okay na ba tayo?
Ako okay na. Just for everyone, give me the weekend to fix the deadlines and the canvas, and I'll outline everything there. Okay. What I will also do is I will upload already all of the slides and all of the module links to this one. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay. So don't worry about that. Just give me time for that one. Okay. And if there's any problem with the links, tell me, because I'm going to share a Google Drive. So everyone might not be able to access it. Okay. So just give me an email through Canvas. So give me the weekend. The other one is I'm also creating a module of the lecture that I made just right now. So yung kung anong diniscuss ko, you will also have the module of the searching, the one, and everything is there already para mas masundan ninyo yung flow ng discussion ko rin. Okay, so hopefully by Monday everything's fixed. You already have something that you already know what you're going to do for the 17th also for that one. So thank you very much for your patience for this one. Okay.
Actually, we are not limiting you to use only what Sir Bong has discussed, okay, or I discussed. You might have other things that went into the learning of, as you went into the learning of applications and all that. We are not going to stop you from using them. Okay? So pag nakikita kayong applications na hindi naman na-discuss, pero sa tingin nyo, okay, go ahead. Put the link. Okay? Kasi ano din yan, part din yan ng searching. Okay? So we are not limiting you to just what happened in the whole 5 weeks that we were together, or 6 weeks, but explore what other things can be done in the class that we have. Kasi ganun talaga ang graduate school. Okay? Ang graduate school. It is not like in the basic ed or in the undergraduate wherein everything is doon lang, di ba? Ito, you can explore more and already look into the possibility of what are the things I'm going to do when I do my thesis. Even if you're just first year, pero you're already going to think, wow, possibility to sa thesis ko. Isipin nyo na yan. Hindi pwede mag-isip kayo niyan pagkatapos nyo na lahat ng 30 units and then tsaka kayo mag-isip, nakalimutan na nyo na ano ba yon, di ba? Some of the very successful students who finish on time are those that every time tapos na sila sa subject, marami na silang cue cards, marami na sila. And with all the learning management that we have learned, so mas kaya nyo na gawin yan. Okay? So yun. So that you will be on time for your graduation. O, di ba? Biglang ganun. So yun. So with that, thank you very much. If you have any question or may clarification pa rin, okay, nandyan naman yun. Open naman ang aming mga communication. And I will work on the details of the other things and send it to Sir. Kasi yun yung ano namin ni Sir, that isa lang nagsasend sa amin para hindi yung magulo. Because this is one subject. So you could just imagine if I'll send, you will send, hindi magulo. Okay? So yun. Okay, so with that, we are going to end early today. That is 12 early. On time lang. Kasi last week, hindi tayo on time di ba? Oo, so happy working, happy studying. Okay.
Sir Bong, Ma'am Del,
Mm.
kinakailangan ko pa po bang kuhain lahat ng email ng ano? Need nyo pa po ba yung email ng lahat ng mga classmates po? Namin po.
Nandun naman sila, di ba, sir?
Or
just make sure that everyone accesses their Canvas emails.
okay na po yun, sir.
Okay na yun, basta mag-i-email blast ako sa Canvas. So everything will be there para centralized na Kins. Thank you for
Okay po, sir. Thank you po.
Okay, kung may
Thank you
question,
so
just
much.
ask.
Just ask, okay? Just ask because we are listening. Okay? So yun. All right. So with that, let's have lunch. Okay. Salamat.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you po.
Salamat.
Bye-bye,
Thank you
classmates.
po.
Bye-bye, classmates.
Thank you po. Bye po.
Thank you.
Bye.
Salamat.
Mm-mm.
Salamat.